Bonjour à tous et bienvenue si vous nous rejoignez pour la suite de
Hello,
cette
everybody.
première journée de l'Académie virtuelle de la Banque européenne
For
d'investissement
joining
au
us for the
développement, aux
follow-on
PME et à la microfinance.
and
Alors, j'espère que vous avez eu
fourth
du temps
panel.
pendant cette petite pause déjeuner et de
So we
networking,
have a very good lunch,
de
and
vous
we are
étirer les jambes et de marcher un petit peu dans votre bureau ou dans votre appartement. C'est important.
okay. So we're going to
Co-finance,
talk
merci d'être
about
avec nous. Alors,
green finance
avant
in
de poursuivre
Africa.
le programme de cet après-midi, je vous rappelle,
May I
comme je
remind
l'ai
you
précisé ce matin, que toutes les sessions que nous
if you have any questions that you'd
ouvrons,
like
que nous
to
ouvrons
send
aujourd'hui sont enregistrées et seront accessibles sur la plateforme donc, de la Banque européenne
to send
d'investissement
in, they
pendant
will be
7 jours
recorded
donc,
and
une semaine
note of
après
make
cet
of them.
événement. Vous aurez
You can come
également
back to
accès
them.
donc, aux diapositives,
And all
aux
the
présentations
slides
qui ont été faites par les différents intervenants tout au long
and
de
all
cet
the
événement.
speeches made,
Donc, vous aurez la possibilité de
and you'll be
rattraper
able
ces
to
sessions si vous
have
n'avez
a
pas
catch-up
pu participer. Alors,
and
on va
to
présent
join
passer
in.
à la suite du programme.
So,
Nous sommes donc
continuing with the
avec
program for this afternoon,
troisième session, si je ne me trompe pas. Une table ronde sur la
we're going to
finance
talk
verte
about
cet
green
après-midi, finance verte
finance
en Afrique de l'Ouest
in
et centrale. Quelles
West and Central
perspectives
Africa,
les
and
institutions
what are the
financières? Alors,
perspectives?
je
What is the
vais bien
future
sûr céder la
for the
parole
financial
au modérateur de cette
institution? So
session,
the moderator is going to
Christophe,
be Christophe Litt,
chef de division secteur
who is head of
financier Afrique,
division
Caraïbes et
African
Pacifique, Asie
sector,
et Amérique latine
African,
pour la Banque
Caribbean
européenne
and
d'investissement.
Pacific, the ESP,
Pour le
the
présenter
Bank for this
avec plus
investment, who's
de
going
détails,
to
voici comment
talk
nos
to us
financiers.
in
Alors,
slightly more
après avoir
detail.
obtenu un diplôme en droit de l'Université catholique
So
d'Afrique du
he
Nord et un master
went
de l'Université
to
de
the Catholic
Georgetown,
University,
Christophe a commencé à travailler pour le cabinet
Louvain.
d'avocats Linklaters à Londres et à Bruxelles,
He went to work
conseillant
for
les entreprises
Linklater,
et des banques
and
sur les
he's
opérations de
worked
fusion et
in
d'acquisition. Il est
various.
également spécialisé dans les transactions
So
sur les
he's,
marchés de capitaux et la réglementation financière. Après 5 ans, il a été
after
nommé
5
Managing
years,
Associate
he was managing
après cette
director
chez Linklaters. Christophe a complété
with
un master en
Linklater,
finance à la London
who's
Business
director
School.
for
Il a ensuite
finance,
rejoint la Banque européenne d'investissement donc en
and
2005
then with the
en tant que
European
responsable des
Investment Bank in
investissements au sein de la division
2005,
d'activités spéciales couvrant les investissements en fonds
and then
propres
he's
et
looked
crédits
after.
propres directs et indirects et les opérations de microfinance en Afrique du Nord. Après 5 ans, il a été
So
transféré au
after that,
département Europe
he
occidentale
went.
de la BEI, où il était chargé des grandes opérations de financement
He was
des projets.
in charge
Je vais à
of
présent vous laisser la
project
parole,
management
Christophe Litt,
in an
et
African
vous
country,
laisser introduire donc les panélistes de cette session
and he's
sur
going to
la
present
finance.
the
Merci.
panelists.
Merci beaucoup, Anan.
So thank you very much.
Bonjour à tout le monde.
Christophe Litt
Peut-être
here.
avant d'introduire les panélistes, je voulais peut-être introduire un peu le sujet.
I'm going to sort of introduce the subject a
Donc, je
little
suis
bit.
vraiment très heureux
I'm very
d'animer ce
happy
panel aujourd'hui.
to be a
D'abord,
member of this
parce que
panel
c'est un
today
sujet
because it's
évidemment
a
fondamental
subject which
pour
is
nous tous,
fundamental
mais
for all of
c'est un
us,
sujet
really.
qui est maintenant au cœur de
And
toutes nos
it's a
activités,
subject which is at the heart of all of our
et en
activities,
particulier d'ailleurs
and
les activités
notably
de la Banque
the
européenne
activities of
d'investissement,
the
la
European
Banque
Investment Bank.
de l'Union européenne, et
The
aussi la Banque du climat.
oh,
À ce titre,
so
je
the
voulais
climate
présenter
bank
trois
as well
décisions
as the
fondamentales
European Union's
qui ont
bank.
été prises récemment par la
So we have had decisions which have been made in this context by the EIB.
100% de nos activités
So 100% of our activities
alignées aux
have
accords
to
de
be
Paris
lined up to the Paris agreements on climate change. These are agreements
permettrait de limiter
which,
l'augmentation de température à 1,5 degré.
so 1.5 degrees of increasing the world temperatures is what we're aiming at.
50% des opérations
We'd like 50%, so
contribuent à la lutte contre le changement
so
climatique.
20 to 25 to 50% ought to contribute to the ending.
Chaque année, 50% de nos
So,
opérations devront lutter contre le changement climatique. C'est très
so
ambitieux.
this is a very ambitious project. So in
Déjà
2020,
financé 24 milliards de
we
projets
had
de
24
changement
billion
climatique, et donc nous voulons
of
augmenter ce
euros
montant significativement.
invested. We want to increase this amount. And the third decision is therefore that the bank wants to generate green investment. So 1 trillion euros between 2030. So that's 50% of the financial projects. And we will therefore be able to have an important lever on this area. These decisions concern our activities in the European Union and outside, notably in Africa and in the region which we're focused in my financial, in my head of my division. Okay, which are the regions which are the least contributors to? So the population is going to double. I was reading an article this morning which explained that the capacity for energy production of Africa today is 15% of that in Germany, so sub-Saharan Africa. So there are lots of financial projects. So we need to do something about this. And the second thing to think about on this in this panel is we have a very high quality panelists that we can talk about this, which are a priority for the various institutions that these panelists are representing. So they have we want to increase in my division the green projects and the green financing to go with them. So first of all, we're going to have a little study on the general topic, and then we're going to talk in general with the actual panelists themselves. That's why the choice of such a market. So our choices are clearly so access to electricity is going to 20. So this is a market. The electricity market is an enormous one. We have so the payments by the pandemics. Why is it important to finance green projects? Let's see what's going to happen to this. All these people need access to financing. So we're going to very much encourage the creation of energy. We talk about productivity for companies, health centers will be able to continue their service without interruptions. Thank you for your attention. So thank you very much. So we're going to start our discussions. Afrexim Bank, which is a major bank for the whole of Egypt. And David is going to talk to us one of their leading products, which allows to take the risk out of a project, of a green project, in order to facilitate the financing. So future development projects will be helped by the African Guarantee Fund. So perhaps you could present yourself, say hello to us, and maybe please don't go over the 8 minutes which you have. So we leave some time for the questions and answers at the end. Thank you. So hello everyone. So I'm the director of the Ebony Group, the African Guarantee Fund for the Kenya. I want to thank the European Investment Bank for this opportunity of talking, but also for the guarantee which we have for financing our projects. So the African Development Bank, with the government of Denmark and Spain, we will be able to increase the level of our activity we have as a stakeholder the French Development Agency, and we also have private sector partners for Germany and Denmark and Egypt. So we're looking for guarantees. And we're collaborating we're talking with the banks and institutions for financing. On the continent. We're trying to increase financing in funding to increase the efficiency in the clean production of energy, so that in the processes which we get rid of CO2 and of course we want to recycle. So we're working in agriculture also, and the other domain in which we're working. We try to have a green offer, green service, so develop training, sustainable development. And energy efficiency is another aspect of our work. In terms of products, so partial guarantees, so partial guarantees and credits together. In this particular case, we would be working in a Peruvian bank.
A permis à la banque de réduire son risque.
The other guarantee up to 50% of 2.5 million let the bank reduce their risk and grant some financing. We also want to grant some guarantees also in terms of how to deal with fees, in which case we work with the bank to understand what their procedures are and to understand and to know what kind of clients the financial institution serves. And when we are satisfied from point of view in terms of risk credit, we then can grant our guarantee. And we have worked with a bank in Nigeria where we have granted a guarantee of $10 million to a Nigerian bank, which has the main goal to grant some adapted financing for green projects which can go towards commercializing solar tubes, solar bridges, and also with the systems that enable to replace the generators which these days work with diesel fuel, and they pollute quite a lot. And finally, the third example on which we are working at the moment in a partnership with the African Development Bank, this is to grant an guarantee to a microfinance institution which tries to raise $5 million in order to be able to deploy afterwards its funds received by its own commercial clients under the forms of microcredits. And our role in this transaction is to grant the investors who will then grant the loans to the microfinance for a guarantee of $2.5 million. As I was saying, our guarantee, our collateral, aside from the guarantee, we also grant technical assistance, and the technical assistance has at its main aim to help the financial institution, the partner, to structure its green offer, or if it has already structured its green offer, its aim and goal is to help it deploy its green offer either in some marketing campaigns or through training their own sales staff or training their own staff in the risk department. So this is the package that we offer to our partners, to our financial institution partners. And today, as of today, we have granted almost 40 million in terms of green guarantees, which have enabled to mobilize the equivalent of $200 million, thanks to around 15 financial institutions and 50 small and medium enterprises to this day benefit from some financing guaranteed by the EDF, by the African Guarantee Fund. And in terms of capacity, we have estimated that 61 megawatts in terms of capacity, clean produced capacity has been installed on the continent, which enables us to contribute to the reduction or to avoid almost 68 million tons of greenhouse gases being emitted. In the future, in conclusion, we wish to develop more partnerships in order to progress further with green finance. And to do so, we actively continue to raise these funds. So, Christophe, the message from the message from the European Investment Bank, which means that the European Investment Bank wants to keep on contributing further. We really have heard that message, and we will come to you when we will be raising funds between 2020 and 2021. Despite the COVID crisis, we have raised almost $35 million, but yet this is not enough regarding what is at stake and what we have to confront. So we keep on raising funds, and we will then approach you in that sense, but on a daily basis. Our commercial teams are working in order to convince our partners, our actual partners, and any and all stakeholders in that chain to adopt more actively green finance. And we hope that the guarantee that we offer will enable us, and we're convinced of this, that the guarantee that we offer will enable us to reduce the risk, but thanks to the technical assistance to also enable our partners to develop their skills and competencies in order to deliver even better this new product. So in a few words, this is what I could tell you.
Very interesting intervention. I think it really shows how your guarantee product can really support local banks to finance more green projects and by de-risking those projects, but also combined with the required technical assistance. And we will definitely be looking at a possible investment in the African Guarantee Fund in the coming months. Thank you so much. I have now the chance to introduce Ms. Tolulope Opayinka from Nigeria. She's the CEO of Lechego Microfinance Bank. And I think it's a very interesting intervention that we are going to listen to now, because it will really show us a bit more how green finance can also be applied to very small projects or very small SMEs or even individuals, and in particular through energy saving schemes. So Tolu, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Christophe, and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the session. It is an interesting intervention from our end, and I think a great follow-up to David's intervention. I was able to catch a little bit of the essence of what he was saying. And for us, let me start by introducing myself properly, and then I'll go into how we fit into this conversation that we're having this afternoon. I work with Letseho Microfinance Bank in Nigeria, Lagos. We're a member of the Letseho Group, headquartered in Botswana. And Letseho is basically a Pan-African finance organization that has a footprint across East, West, and Southern Africa. Our focus is providing financial services to the bottom of the pyramid, mass end of the market, where we're looking at supporting what I would describe as the growth of small businesses, the growth of small businesses supported by females, supported by so many other impact finance focused organizations along the line. It's important that we understand that for us, the interest in green finance comes from enabling a wide set of customers, enabling them to have a part of this sustainable growth for the future, so that they're able to see how they can make savings in their businesses. When we're looking at cost savings from energy, particularly in an environment like Nigeria, where the cost of energy is one of the biggest things that affects businesses, their survival across the board. And we've recognized that in providing this link between, say, an African Guarantee Fund and the small businesses that are in the market, we provide that link between them so that we can say to our small customers, our small enterprises across board, if you're able to switch from expensive energy providing systems to what we would describe as sustainable growth, sustainable energy savings equipment, such as saving on generators across board. We're looking at maybe providing energy through PVs across the board, and we're looking at providing a link where you can also, between the suppliers of energy saving systems and energy saving equipment like fridges and ACs, air conditioners across the board, we provide that link between them. The impact of this type of financing, you can see where the customers can then say to us, provide these less expensive energy saving systems for me and provide me the platform to pay for it over a period of time, according to my capacity over a period of time. So I think in supporting those sustainable goals over the time, I think that the impact finance side of it is where we come into the picture. And I like the fact that we're coming into a program like this to see how we can get support from EIB, that we can get the support of many other organizations like the AGF to continue to introduce this in an affordable way to our community of customers who would naturally maybe not be able to afford the kind of energy saving systems that we speak about and the green finance that we speak about. We're looking at organizations, even as far as schools, where you can have green houses where we can house these schools and make them more efficient in how they run their schools, in how they run their businesses, in how they run even hospitals and organizations like that. We're able to support them in what they're able to do. So really, like Christophe mentioned, that's the aspect that is the impact financing aspect of it that we're interested in. And we're very, I would say, very enthusiastic about what we're able to do with the support of other organizations like the AIB and AGF, of course. Thank you very much, Christophe.
Thank you so much, Tolu. It's very important. Also the energy efficiency, energy saving part, not only the production of energy, renewable energy is key, but that part is also key for climate action, and in particular for to make small projects as the one you described bankable. So thank you very much for this intervention. And maintenant, je voudrais présenter Monsieur Kojo Atati.
Now I would like to present Mr. Kojo Atati from the African Trade Insurance Agency, ATI. Kojo will present to us a completely different finance instrument, which consists in guaranteeing some independent producers renewable and electricity, of course, and guarantee the fact that they will be paid well by the national electricity companies, which means that these projects for these promoters and small producers to be bankable, and therefore this is another angle regarding the green financing. Kojo, you have the floor. Many thanks, Christophe. I am Kojo Atati. I am the regional underwriter for African Trade Insurance Agency for Western Africa and Francophone Africa. I am based in Abidjan. After having spent 10 years at the headquarters of the institution in Nairobi in Kenya and our institution, I will first of all start by thanking the European Investment Bank for inviting ATI to this forum through myself and our institution, African Trade Insurance Agency, in English, ATI, Agence pour l'assurance du commerce en Afrique in French, was launched in 2001 by the World Bank in collaboration with the African states. And the goal was to attract some investment in the African states by guaranteeing the political risk and also to promote trade by guaranteeing credit. So through that financing, we launched in 27 products in partnership with AKFW. First of all, this product was launched from an identification of a particular problem. Most of the independent electricity producers sell some electricity produced to the national electricity companies, which normally are state-owned companies that are not very reliable in in the sense that they have some financial problems, and whilst independent electricity producers ask for these national electricity companies to set up some guarantees in order to assure them that the energy that they will produce and sell to these companies, for these companies to then be able to reimburse them, which means that the national companies do not manage to set up or to meet these conditions, which means that generally the projects related to green energy projects in sub-Saharan Africa sometimes do not go anywhere, and they do not reach a financial balance. So ATI has identified this problem and has brought a solution forward, and the solution is brought by ATI is called the Regional Facility to Support Liquidity. This is what we call ALSF as an acronym. So what is the solution? The solution is for us to support the independent electric energy producers, especially in the renewable energies area, by substituting themselves to the national electricity companies, by giving them the guarantees that independent energy producers will not have, or the guarantees requested by their bank, and therefore we can support them by substituting ourselves to the national energy companies by bringing these guarantees forward so that the implementation of these projects could be carried out accordingly. How does this work? Well, we're talking about a partnership, as I stated earlier on, between ATI and AKFW and a South African bank called ABSA. ABSA grants the guarantee letter requested by the independent electricity producers, and ABSA guarantees as surety, a double surety. First of all, a surety in terms of cash that AKFW can bring to the value of 31.6 million euros. And ATI also, on top of this surety, can bring a guarantee for the first request for the amount that the collateral cash brought forward by AKF for the independent electricity producers. So our guarantee covers this small and our guarantee covers the unpaid amounts up to 6 months, which meets the conditions requested by the independent electricity producers in the renewable energy sector, which means that since we have set up that particular product, many projects now are not blocked anymore because of some guarantee problems. Many projects have come to fruition. And the eligibility criteria for this guarantee is that for projects that are small and medium-sized projects, the requirement is for this project to be in direct connection with renewable energies up to 100,000 megawatts or more, and the countries that must benefit from this must be member countries of our institution. So this is the first solution that I can mention to you. The second solution is regarding a form of reassurance strategy, which has been set up and implemented by the European Investment Bank, AKFW, and Munich Re, and this enables us to have a regional support facility for liquidities for the small and medium projects. But what I'm talking to you about now is about big projects, which are the fruit of a partnership between the European Investment Bank, AKFW, and Munich Re. So Therefore, HEI underwrites the risk and the political risk for the investors in terms of green energy, as they are asking for HEI to underwrite the risk, and then HEI is a counter-guarantor through the Munich Re, which is a reassurance institution based in Germany, and Munich Re also is covered by the European Development Bank and AKFW. So for this particular project, we have a capacity to cover $1 billion. So with the products that we have set up, we have already covered a project in Kenya. We call it the wind farm project for the Lake Turkana for a capacity of 70 megawatts, and we have covered an amount of 350 million US dollars. And there is a solar project also covered in Malawi. It's a small project for 21 megawatts. And there is another project that we also have covered in Kenya once again. There is another one covered in Zambia for a capacity of 20 megawatts, and in Benin with the same capacity. So this is what I can tell you as an overview about what we are doing in the green energy area and in the green energy financing. Many thanks, Kijo.
Thank you. This was very interesting. The product which has helped a lot of production, energy and electricity production projects to go. I think also there's a very good collaboration in the public sector and the private sector here, which is absolutely necessary in green financing. And these instruments is of great interest to the European Investment Bank, because we have the participation of several countries in Africa. So your presentation was deeply interesting for us.
And I'm very, very proud and happy to welcome Daniel Saki, who is CEO of EcoBank Ghana, which is a bank that is focusing more and more on green finance with adapted processes, instruments, also through digitalization. And even most of the branches now produce clean electricity with solar panel on their roof. So it's really an example for us. And I'm really impatient to hear you, Daniel, talking about how you integrate green financing in most of your operations. Thank you, Daniel.
Okay, thank you very much, Christophe. I think by way of introduction, as Christophe said earlier on, I'm the MD for EcoBank Ghana. As you are aware, EcoBank is a full-service commercial bank operating in 33 countries in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, covering West, Central, East, and then SADC regions. So in addition to my role as MD for Ghana, I have responsibility for other Anglophone countries such as Gambia, Liberia, Sierra Leone, and then Guinea. So prior to the current role, I'd also served as MD in EcoBank Zimbabwe and also MD in EcoBank Rwanda. So I have a fair bit of knowledge about what happens across the sub-Saharan Africa. Now to the topic. Thank you very much to EIB for the opportunity to share in this session, and also to sort of bring out what we have done in the area of green finance. We at EcoBank believe that when you pursue, of course, as a business, we are looking for better returns for our shareholders, but we believe that the pursuit of higher profitability, higher returns should not be at the expense of people and also of the planet. So we believe that green finance is good for our business, and I would demonstrate as I go along how we've been able to integrate green finance gradually into what we do on a progressive basis. Okay. Because we believe that green finance is good, what we've done is to lay out a process for a gradual transition to a green economy, not just for our customers, but also for ourselves as an institution. And the way we've done that is to look at our products, look at our processes, and also look at our people. First of all, in terms of our people, our processes, what we've done is to ensure that we have integrated green finance decision-making process into each aspect of it. So, for example, how do we know at the center that a project that has come through one of our branches meets the required criteria? We have given the necessary training on how to screen projects at the front line. So once something is presented at a branch, there will be the initial screening, and we have clear criteria that should ensure that it does not contribute excessively towards pollution of the environment, does not have excessive carbon emission built into it. So once the initial screening shows that the risk is high, that project does not pass, does not go forward. It is dropped at that point. So we can quickly also give our response to our client that this is not something that we want to do. Where the risk is medium, then it will go to the next phase. Of course, where the risk is low, automatically it's green light, and then we'll move to quickly looking at how we review further the project, and then it will then have the second level analysis. For projects that are rated medium risk in terms of impact on the environment, what we look at is, are there mitigants? Are there conditions that can be used to mitigate? If there are mitigants are there, then we will look at them and develop them further. If we can't find mitigants, once again, we drop. So it is only projects that meet our screening criteria in terms of low risk and also have the capacity to develop mitigants that we can move on. And then we then go to the final stage where we have a specialist who ensures that the project complies with the criteria we have set internally. Now, in terms of how we integrate this into our products, into our businesses, what we have done is to ensure that for existing businesses, we know that it is going to be very difficult to come out with a big bang approach. So we look at businesses and say, can we digitize a portion of that business? Can we help that business reduce costs? One, in terms of improved energy efficiency, and also cost reduction, and finally, reduce emissions. For new businesses, of course, the process is exhaustive, and we would like to go to the full extent. I have to add, as I get to the end, that of course it is very difficult to have new projects, especially in the SME and microfinance area, that will meet the entire criteria. So we'll continue to work with our existing customers to ensure that whatever they are doing will improve efficiency, will reduce energy consumption, or will reduce costs. And as they reduce costs, that SME or microfinance is better positioned to afford energy saving investments. So we can start with somebody who has no idea that he has to look at energy consumption and also look at improving efficiency. And as they improve their profitability, they are better positioned to come in. So, for example, we have worked with government, and we have also helped government retool certain offices. So we take an office complex, look at energy consumption, and then work with them to finance their investment in solar energy. And once they have that investment, of course, they start realizing the benefits through reduced energy costs. There are a couple of examples that will cover, but essentially for us, what we want to ensure that the savings from that new solar project can cover in whatever investment that is needed in capital expenditure. And I'll give a couple of examples. So over the past, in 2015, we did work with one of the multinationals, which is engaged in consumer finance, consumable goods, want to replace 10,000 refrigerators in homes. So basically what we did was to work with them, attract financing to bring in new fridges. So anybody with an old refrigerator that has high carbon emission can actually take that old refrigerator to the consumer goods company and then replace it after paying a minimal deposit to cover the cost of disposal of the old one. So we basically were able to, within a short period of 1 year, replace 10,000 refrigerators in homes. And this went to homes, small-sized home, medium-sized homes who did not have the enough financing to afford totally new refitting of the house. So by just tackling that aspect, we were able to reduce CO2 gas emissions just from that sector. Then in addition to that also, 2 years ago, we worked with one of our clients, which is engaged in sanitation projects. So this client, we helped retool by bringing in more than 50 trucks. And these trucks were help collecting refuse across residential and also companies. In addition to that, we also worked with them by putting another investment for around $10 million to bring in 1 million waste bins. And this is targeted at domestic residential facilities. The whole idea is to ensure that anybody can access this facility. This company will provide you with a waste bin for which you can use to, one, store your refuse and also separate them. So from a position where residences were not able to even store or separate, we now have the capacity by providing refuse bins to store. In addition to that, we provided a digitized solution where each resident will be able to pay using mobile money. So you just use a USSD code, *887#, and that gives you a menu to which you can use to pay for your refuse collection. So not only did we digitize a process of trying to collect revenues from households, we also allowed those households to access 1 million waste bins that have today improved the collection process. The next stage of our financing, which we just closed early this year, was one to finance a $15 million waste processing plant. So from collecting the waste, separating the waste, we have now moved to processing of the waste into one, materials, especially plastic materials that are then recycled, and then two, into compost, which is fertilizer, to that part that can then be sold to farmers who are engaged in agricultural activities. So one, we've not only helped reduce waste, but we've improved the process of collecting waste. Now back specifically to what we have done with some of the companies. One of our recent financing was to extend a $12 million financing to one of our SME clients. And this time it was to set up a factory equipment, a factory assembly plant to produce solar panels. So we are not just importing the solar panels are now being produced locally. And the idea is that with local production, they can then be made tailor-made to offices and to residences at lower cost. So we have moved from just doing the direct importation now to actually working with a company which is now producing the solar panels locally, courtesy of a $12 million facility. But before we moved to production, we had actually financed the same company to the tune of about $9 million. And this was aimed at importing solar panels. The first project they did was to put in an 800 kilowatt solar panel project for a hotel. So immediately that hotel transitioned from 100% reliance on electricity energy to solar 50% reliance, with the 50% now covered by solar energy. We also then did a $7.5 million financing for another company called KNet that is engaged in providing direct-to-home facilities. These are companies that can then provide for 43 sites. Those 43 sites are providing access, communication access to specific.
Cet endroit fournit des accès de communication et nous travaillons aussi avec une autre entreprise pour fournir
400 solar panels for rural homes where they are able to use this for their water solar pumps. So the solar pumps ensure that the boreholes can then be mechanized. So from people trying to pump water under very difficult circumstances, we have now mechanized those boreholes using solar panels. And this has gone out to 400 rural sites. So we believe that the impact of such financing is major in terms of transforming, one, reducing access, the time taken to access water, improving access to water, improving health, and also ensuring that people can now focus on other things that they do better instead of spending the time looking for water. Then last year, we also joined the ECOWAS Refrigerators and Air Conditioners Initiative. It's called Eco Fridges. And basically what we've done here is to work with them to accelerate the adoption of energy efficient and climate friendly domestic refrigerators and room air conditioners in the residential sector. So this is a continuation of what we did in 2015, where we were able to do this, change 10,000 refrigerators in Ghana alone. But this time, this initiative cuts across ECOWAS and covers refrigerators and air conditioners. And the focus, once again, is to replace old refrigerators and old air conditioners with more energy efficient ones at reasonable prices. So here, EcoBank Ghana and our partners, we are looking to unlock about $5 million. Okay, and this $5 million will then support the purchase of over 10,000 energy efficient, climate friendly cooling products. So one, we are working to not just to change it, but also to ensure that even for homes, for those with slightly improved means, they will be able to replace the air conditioners that they have. I started by saying that at EcoBank, we are not just looking to work with our SME and microfinance clients, but we started by working with ourselves, digitizing ourselves. And the way we did it was to say that everything that we do that really relies on a manual paper-based project to try and convert it. Today, we were the first to launch a mobile app within Ghana. That's a full-service mobile app in 2017. 80% of our consumer banking clients today are transacting on the mobile app. As a bank, also as an institution, 80% of our transactions are outside the banking hall. Basically, these are paperless transactions. We believe that this is a major contributor to reducing pollution of the environment and also even to reducing paper consumption, because these were activities that initially were paper-based. Today, they are not paper-based. So our philosophy is we want to digitize ourselves, we want to digitize our suppliers, we want to digitize our vendors, and also want to digitize our clients. In the same vein, for us as EcoBank, today in Ghana, we have 65 branches. 33 of these branches are running on solar panels, on solar energy. And the way we did this was, one, look at the power consumption of each branch and say, if we convert to solar, can we save 50%? So based on this analysis, we then asked one of our suppliers, especially the same client that we had financed to set up the factory, to say, can you install solar energy across our branches? So instead of spending, let's say, $1,000 on a branch, immediately we install solar energy. That expense cuts down to $500. So basically, during the day, we run on the grid, and after the end of the day, we switch to solar. And also on weekends, we switch to solar, where we are fully running everything on solar because there's reduced energy needs. And because we are now saving $500 from the installation of the solar at each branch, that $500 goes towards the payment of the capital investment involved in the solar panel installation at each branch. So our model is that over 5 years, each branch will pay for itself. So as a bank, we are not actually investing anything in the branch, but through the savings we are making by converting to solar, we have demonstrated that we can actually improve efficiency and also improve our bottom line. That is why we believe that at EcoBank, green finance is good for us. We have even taken it further to our head office, where our head office in Lome today, we have a total installed green capacity, solar capacity of 1,000 kilowatts. Okay, and this was done in 2020. And because of this, we've cut energy consumption at our head office by 50%. And we are able to generate 970,000 kilowatt hours of energy. Okay. This is important in demonstrating that we are not just talking about it, but we are actually practicing. And it is this model that we've tried to extend to our clients. So even for smaller businesses who don't have the financing to be able to benefit or to be able to invest, we are able to adopt this model where we look at their savings, work with the factories and the companies we have set up, help them to set up a factory to now provide the solar panels at an affordable rate, and then with the savings that the company is making, is able to pay for this capital investment. So this is a practical demonstration of green finance, not just being good for the environment, but also being good for EcoBank and our clients, and ultimately our sustainability. Thank you very much, Christophe.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Very comprehensive presentation, and really we see clearly the link between profitability and green financing. Also very interesting concrete projects, green projects through digitalization, innovation, local manufacturing. So very inspiring. Thank you very much. I think now we only have 5 minutes left for questions. I would like maybe to remind the audience that there is also questions that we have sent regarding this panel. It's only 4 or 5 questions, so it would be great if you can maybe take 1 minute to respond to those questions, and we will discuss the result of this poll a bit later today. So maybe if I take the question, the first one was regarding the importance of capacity building for banks regarding green financing. And I think maybe David, you mentioned that you provide this kind of services and maybe also even technical assistance for SMEs. So David, maybe if you can take that one.
Yes, I'll take that one. So when we launched the product back in 2016, we did a feasibility study, and lack of competence on the side of PFI, partner financial institution, as well as SMEs, was identified as a barrier to green finance. So what we did, we organized with other development partners, namely the ITC, West Development Bank, the AFDB, trainings in 4 countries. Ghana, with HEI, who help us a lot in Ghana, in Senegal, in Ivory Coast, in Kenya, and we are still planning to organize other trainings in 4 markets that we have identified as deeply impacted by climate change, which is Benin, Malawi, Mozambique, and Senegal. We organize those partners. It's those conferences. It's basically a marketplace where we have all the stakeholders. We have the DFI, we have the FI, we have the SMEs. We are advocating that green finance are coming with opportunities, but we need to help financial institutions to understand the risk inherent to green finance. We need to train SMEs to address and to be prepared in making requests of financing to financial institutions as such that we can better foster access to green finance that is really needed to foster a sustainable growth in Africa. So, of course, trainings for financial institutions important, same for SMEs.
Okay.
But
thank you.
For us, it's always financing, and we are also fundraising for necessary financing to be able to put together such financing at a larger scale. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Thank you very much. I think maybe we have time for one more question very quickly. And maybe Tolu, if you wouldn't mind, the question is, where do you see the largest demand for green financing from your borrowers?
Thank you for that question, Christophe. And just to mention very quickly, yes, capacity development is really critical in this journey around green financing. I think there's a lot of nuances that we need to understand about green financing, the demands around it, and how we can successfully deploy it. That capacity development is critical. Having said that, back to the question, for us, at Letterhole, the biggest demand will be coming in energy efficient appliances. It's a very simple one. Energy efficient appliances, the capacity to be able to supply energy in a more efficient way, in a cheaper way, in a more cost-efficient way. As Dan spoke extensively about translating energy efficiency into the bottom line, into sustainable profitability. I think the biggest area that we have seen in our experience is for energy efficient appliances across the board. But a growth area that I also see coming in the future is in green buildings in the future. Christoph, that is going to be a growth area. I'm looking at the time, but for me, green buildings in the future is also an area that will be very big. And not, when I say the future, it's actually here on our doorsteps. Being able to convert our buildings into energy efficient buildings and making savings across the board, not just on energy, but also saving our planet, as we've spoken about across the board here.
Thank you so much, Tolu. I think we might have to close the session, but thank you so much, and it was very interesting. Lots of work still to be done, but a lot of motivation and a lot of passion here, and so it's all I'm very optimistic. And maybe Hanan, I would give you the floor back. I think I have to. I see a lot of signs.
Thank you so much. Merci beaucoup, Christophe, pour.
Many thanks, Christophe, for moderating this panel on green finance, and many thanks also to all members of our panel who took part in this very interesting discussion on green finance. So, Christophe Litt, you are the head of division for the financial sector, Africa, Caribbean, and Pacific, with also Asia and Latin America for the European Investment Bank. We also had David Ekabuma, director of the Group Monitoring and Evaluation African Guaranty Fund. We also had Tolu from Nigeria, Kojo Atatis, and Daniel Osaki, CEO for the EcoBank Group. Many thanks to you all for your participation in this panel. Let me remind you, as you have mentioned also, Christophe, that there are a series of questions that we can ask through a poll, especially also regarding this session, and we ask you to answer these questions as soon as possible, and you will be able to access all the sessions that have taken place throughout the day, but also those that will take place tomorrow, thanks to the EIB platform over the next few days, I think for 1 week after the end of this event. So therefore, you will be able to have access to all the presentations from the different speakers who took part in this conference. So many thanks to you all. We will now carry on with the rest of our program for this afternoon. So without further ado, I will now introduce straight away the next panel, as well as the moderator who will moderate and facilitate this discussion. We will have a panel regarding finance with a gender lens, which regards the place of women in business, and especially the role of women as leaders of various small and medium enterprises in different regions, such as West and Central Africa. We have as a moderator Isabel van Gunderbeek, who's head of Inclusive Financial Services Unit Advisory Services from the European Investment Bank. And I will give you the floor so that you can in turn introduce the panelists for this particular session. Thank you.